Good evening and welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. It's snowy outside. We're actually having a winter down here in southern Ontario, but not so bad that I'm having to drive through 3 inches of snow with drivers who don't know how to drive in snow. One of the advantages of living in the far north, people generally knew how to drive in snow better than the majority of people down here. Somehow or the other down here, they think they can still stop on the dime, even when the snow's greasy. So, it's been a good day. Hot chocolate's warm. Christmas is all put away. We got it made. Today's chit chat is really a story, and it builds on yesterday's about Facebook now not having axing their fact checking. And I discovered with a conversation from my son that they've also axed the parts about where you can report abuse, like inappropriate language or using the N word or things that people are not, it's not socially acceptable by most people. And their line is that any of these fact checkers are too politically leaning one way or the other. They didn't say which way, they just said too politically leaning. And that they should be left up to the community of users to decide if they are going to believe it or not. Which brings me to my story. Last week, when I was with two sisters, their clients, and one of the things, they're younger, and to help reinforce their math, please, moms and dads, get your kids to know their multiplication facts. This high school math teacher would appreciate it because you really need it. One of the games I get them to do online is through Duolingo because it's fun, it reinforces, it's actually a lot of times it reinforces ideas that should have already been taught. And each of the girls got an iPad. So it's like, great, guys, bring your tablets over. Let's set it up. Mom's in the background going, yes, yes, yes. And we set up the two girls so they could get on Duolingo and they could start where I wanted them to start and they could build their skills. And they're supposed to do it every night. I'm not stupid. I realize I'm not going to. But at least it's there. And actually, so one of the girls had Alexis, the Syria thing, put up a reminder to remind her to do it every night. And one of the little girls asked Mom, because it wasn't her time with me, it was her sister's time, if she could go on and practice her Duolingo. And I, without even thinking, went, of course you can, honey. It's math. Mom's not going to say no to that. And then the back of my brain went, okay, I just overstepped my parental rights. There's not my parental rights, but I stepped on Mummy's parental rights. But knowing Mom, and I've known her for several years now, she wouldn't have cared. But pause here because of cat. But in that pause, the cat, in that pause, it made the back of my brain start to think. Like, what's the big deal? So the kid goes on the internet. Like, I get she's spending too much time on it. Yes, that's 100%. I have that problem in the classroom. And the girls don't have cell phones, so this is their first access to it. And I drove away, finished with that client, went on for the rest of my clients for the evening, and sat and started thinking about it, and thought about it for several days. And started to think, God, times have changed. When my kids were little, this stuff didn't exist. Like, our first computer is an Anchor. Like, was an Anchor back then. It's an Anchor now, definitely, being recycled, etc., etc. And you only had PCs. We didn't have laptops. That tells you how far back, which really isn't that far ago, but as far as computers are concerned, it is. And so we didn't have to worry about the kids getting online and what they might see. Because it was just, it's the internet. It's Google. Like, come on. And nobody thought of it could be anything worse. But times have changed. And then my 20-year-old grew up with this. And he's always been on the computer. As long as, I mean, once he's like 8 or 9, but we didn't have to worry about it either. Because what we saw was the truth. People hadn't got into putting BS and misinformation and redirects and all the rest of the crap. And this mom, or any moms now, whose kids are 8 and 9, 10, or even the beginning of high school, have a whole different world that they have to deal with. Even now, I don't have any grandchildren that young, but if I did, these are things I never had to worry about, raising my kids or helping raise my grandson, because it wasn't that bad on the internet. And now that we've lost this social network or this safety net, because Facebook's not going to fact check anything, the worse is getting. So now these parents, it's not just the TikTok and trying to convince your kid to do this or that, or having your 8-year-old watch other 8-year-olds put on 10 pounds of makeup so they can look older, or try and encourage them to look older and more mature. It's not just that. It's that what they're going to look at may not be the truth because somebody wants to convince them otherwise. Now, my kids, when they were little, were more interested in going outside and climbing the trees or rolling on the rocks or chasing the toads, which I count my blessings. And I didn't have to work to make sure of that. I keep watching videos about how hard parenting is, and I kept going, what are you talking about? Yeah, parenting was busy, but I didn't find it hard. I loved it. I mean, I'm still a parent, obviously, never will stop being, but a parent of little people. I never found it hard. I didn't mind the diaper changes. I didn't mind being pregnant. Even people in my era sometimes had struggled with being pregnant. But I also didn't have those worries and those concerns that the parents of young people, like 8, 9 kids in elementary school, have now. When you go on and watch TikTok or Snapchat or any of these social media things, the first thing that should be going in your mind is that the truth? Or has somebody warped it? YouTube channels. I bend over backwards to try and help students recognize which YouTube channels they shouldn't really be listening to. Or learn to critical thinking, which is a big one, of what you're looking at. Don't accept it carte blanche. Well, for you and I, as adults, that's a little easier to do because we have the life experiences to go, wait a second, that doesn't look good. So most of us would listen to flat earthers and go, honey, think you better check your data. But when you're only 8 or 9, you don't have those life experiences. And when it looks good and it sounds good and it's packaged in this pretty little package of videotaping, which with modern videotaping and modern editing, you can make it look really good without trying very hard because all the bells and whistles are there. It's easy to make something look very believable. And when you're only 8 or 9 or 10 or 13, which to me is more impressionable than the 5 and 6-year-olds, it becomes harder and harder for you as a child to recognize the difference between right and wrong. And so that makes it harder on the parents. And I remember once, and this was a while ago, when we still really only had television, one of my kids came to me and we were talking about reality. And she was upset because we didn't live the Kardashian lifestyle. And I went, well, their lifestyle is not my cup of tea. But we got she said, but Mommy, that's what real life is like. I went, I paused and went, no, what? And she said, well, it's reality TV, so that's what life's supposed to be like, and we don't live like that. And I went, honey, that's not reality TV. And she was 12 or 13 at the time. I don't think she was high school yet. And it was only TV shows, and she was positive that that's what reality really looked like, because it was reality TV. No, it's not. It simply means they didn't have a preset script. That's all it means. And if it's not going the way they think it should go, the director calls cut. Same thing with these Big Brother shows. The director calls cut, resets it, tells them to play it a slightly different way because they're looking for numbers. I said, you want reality TV? That's me holding down 4 jobs so I can put food on the table and keep the house. That's reality. And she just paused and looked at me. Says, it's not the big fancy houses. It's not the stages. It's not that. That is staged, set up to make it look attractive. That's there so you'll watch it. That's not reality. And that was a major wake-up call for her. And it was the start of the wake-up call for me that what these kids are watching, they honestly believe that that's what real life is like. So even when we watched TV shows in the 60s, we all knew that that really wasn't what life was like. So Hogan's Heroes, POW camp, World War II, we all knew it was just humorous. It was a joke. Because we all knew that that's not what the POW camps were like. The comedy shows, Cheers, things like that. Just watching them, you knew it was funny. We could laugh and giggle, but we all knew it wasn't reality. Well, now the videotaping and the techniques have made it look like it's real life. Like, none of my friends ever believed that women always wore heels and a lovely dress to do the dishes. But nowadays, they're making it look like it's real. And so these poor kids are struggling to learn what the difference is between reality and fantasy. So we need to encourage our kids in critical thinking. So we need to encourage ourselves in critical thinking and sit them down and say, okay, well, if you saw that, let's go and look for some real sources we can trust and verify it. And if it's a TV show or it's a YouTube channel, as I'm sitting here on YouTube, have a discussion with it. So I watched these. I didn't know what these things were for. I really didn't until I was watching a de-influencer who looks at these influencers' YouTubes and rips them apart. And they're called restocking videos. And you literally watch somebody restock their fridge. I look at them for 13 seconds, maybe 5, go, well, that's stupid, and went on to the next thing. What it is you're restocking it with the product face out so that you, the viewer, see it. And then if you want it, you can go down to their links and you can buy it through their links, which makes them money. That's it. Grand total. There's no talking. You're just watching this lady. And I'm thinking, so this is what these kids are watching. So we need to help our kids realize that things like these restockers, it's just a joke. It's not a joke, funny, haha, but it's like, these are dumb, these are stupid. This is why they're dumb, this is they're stupid, and they're only trying to get you to buy their product so they can make money. Right? So, anyways, that's my rant and that's my story. I did go to the mom tonight when I saw the students and went, I need to thank you. First of all, your kids did great at asking you permission to be on their tablets. I said, but it really did a wake-up call for me to go, shit, times have changed. The things that we as parents, even 15 years ago, what we had to worry about is so much different than what parents with young people now have to worry about. We, we watch what they were watching on TV, make sure it was okay, listen to the music, make sure it's okay. But these stupid little things on TikTok, etc., some of them are good, but how many are not? So anyways, there you go. If you've got little people or you know little people, even young teenagers, please sit with them and watch what they're watching online and get them to start to critically think about what they're watching. And I mean really critically think. I did a misinformation unit with a group a couple of years ago, and one of them found a video saying this was the best glass in the world was made in China, and I said, prove it. And he went, but that video says it is. I had to sit him down and say, they're saying that because they want you to buy their product. But it's Chinese glass, so it's going to be the best. Prove it. Where somebody else went, I want to use that one. I said, okay, why do you say it's fake? Or why do you say it's good? And he pointed out why he thought it was good. I said, why do you say it's fake? He said, because I took it right off my game. So he was critically thinking. He picked one that was easy for him to prove that it was misinformation by picking one from a game. So see how hard it has gotten to be? So please, if you've got little people, even as yourself, double check that you're really honestly seeing it for the truth. And if you're questioning it or it goes against what you've believed or what you thought before, then go start double checking your information. Go to credible resources, guys. No matter what you think of your government, go to government sources. So if somebody tells you there's 500,000 homeless people in Ontario, go to the Ontario Stats and check it out. If you believe there's, I don't know, there is, one out of the States that white Christian nationalists who say there's trans people are taking over the U.S. Somebody sat down and did the numbers and they went, it's less than 1% that identifies trans in the U.S. That is absolutely nothing. So go check your sources, check them again and check them again. Let's stay on top of the misinformation. Okay? Take care, guys. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.